The Maids of Bute. Even the captain of a steam lighter may feel the cheerful, exhilarating influence of spring, and Parahandy, sitting on an upturned pail with his feet on a coil of rope, baked himself in the sun and sang like a linty, a rather croupy linty. The song he sang was, "Blow ye winds, I-O, for it's roving I will go. I'll stay no more on England's shore, so let the music play. I'm off by the morning train, across the raging main. I have booked a trip wi' a government ship, 10,000 miles away." "Who's that greeting?" asked the engineer maliciously, sticking his head out of the engine room. The captain looked at him with contempt. "Nobody's greeting," he said. "It's a thing you don't know anything at all about. It's music. Away and read your novels. What way's Lady Fitzgerald getting on with her new man?" The engineer hastily withdrew. "That's the way to settle him," said the captain to Dougie and Sonny Jim. "Short and sweet. I could sing him blin. Do you know the way it is that steamboat engineers is always doing in the mouth like that? It's the want of nature. They never let themselves go. Poor devils working away among their bits o' engines. They never get the wind and the sun about them right, the same as us seamen. If I was always doing in a hole like that place of MacPhail's, dabbing my face with an oily rag all day, I would maybe be as ugly as himself. Man, I'm feeling fine. There's nothing like the spring of the year when you can get it like this. It's just sublime. I'm feeling as strong as a lion. I could pull the mast out of the boat and bait Brussels carpets with it." "We'll pay for this yet," said Sonny Jim. "You'll see it'll rain or snow before night. What do you say, Dougie?" "Aye, whatever you think yourself," said Dougie. "At this time of the year," said the captain, "I wish I was back in McBrain's boats. The Vital Spark is a splendid ship, the best in the trade, but there's no diversion. I was the first man that ever painted the Maids of Bute." "You don't tell me!" exclaimed Dougie incredulously. "I was that," said Parahandy, as modestly as possible. "I'm not saying it for a bounce. The job might have come anybody's way, but I was the man that got it. I was a hand on the Inverary Castle at the time. The captain says to me one day we were passing the maids, only they weren't the maids then, they hadn't their clothes on. 'Peter, what do you think of them 2 stones on the hillside? They'll be there a long while before they're small enough to pop at birds wi',' says I. 'But do they no put you desperate in mind o' a couple of women?' said he. 'Not them,' says I. 'I've been passing here for 15 years, and I never heard them talking yet. If they were like women, what would they be sitting waiting there for so long, and no a man in the whole of this side of Bute?' 'Aye, but it's the look of them,' said the captain. 'If you stand here and shut one eye, they'll put you awful in mind of the 2 McFadgen girls up in Pennymore. I think we'll just christen them the Maids of Bute.' Well, we always called them the Maids of Bute after that, and pointed them out to all the passengers on the steamers. Some of them said they were desperate like women, and others said they were just like 2 big stones. The captain of the Inverary Castle got quite wild at some passengers that said they weren't a bit like women. 'That's the worst of them English tourists,' he would say. 'They've no imagination. I could make myself believe them 2 stones was a regiment of soldiers if I put my mind to it. I'm sure the tourists might stretch a point the same as other folk and keep up the amusement.' Well, one day the skipper came to me and says, 'Are you on for a nice holiday, Peter?' It was just this time of the year and weather like this, and I was feeling fine. 'Aye, no objection,' says I. 'Well,' he says, 'I wish you would go off at Tenebrook and take some paint with you in a small boat over to the maids, and give them a touch of red and white that'll make them more like women than ever.' 'I don't like,' said I. 'What way do you know like?' said the skipper. It's no even what you would call work, it's just amusement. But will it no look droll for a sailor to be painting clothes and a couple of stones, all as lone by himself in the north end of Bute, and no a soul to see him? Just give it a think yourself, skipper, would it no look awful daft? I don't care if it looks daft enough for the Lochgilphead Asylum. You'll have to do it, said the skipper. I'll put you off at 10 o'clock this afternoon. You can go over and do the job and take a night's lodgings in the tune, and we'll pick you up tomorrow when we're coming down. Now see you and make the maids as smart as you can, and by Jove, they'll give the tourists a start. Well, I was put off at 10 o'clock, and the red and white paint wi' me. I got lodgings, took my tea and a herring to it, and rowed myself over in a boat to Bute. Some of the boys about the quay was asking what I was after, but wasn't likely I would tell them I was going to paint clothes on the Maids of Bute. They would be sure to call me the manta maker after it. So I just said I was going over to mark out the place for a new quay McBrain was building. There's nothing like discretion, say. It was a day that was just sublime. The water was that calm you could see your face in it. The birds were singing like hey manani, and the Kyles was lovely. 2 minutes after I started painting the maids, I was singing to myself like anything. Now, I must let you ken, I never had no education of drawing, and it's wonderful how fine I painted them. When you get close to them, they were no more like real maids than I am. You wouldn't take them for maids even in the dark, but before I was done with them, you would ask them up to dance. The only thing that vexed me was that I had only the red and white. If I had magenta and blue and yellow and the like of that, I could have made them far more stylish. I gave them white faces and red frocks and bonnets, and man, it was a splendid day. I took the notion in my head that maybe the skipper of the Inverary was right, and that they were maids at one time that looked back the same as Lot's wife in the scriptures and got turned into stone. When I wasn't a-singing, I would be speaking away to them, and I assure you it was the first time maids never gave me any back chat. One of them I called Mary after a girl I knew, and the other I called Elizabeth, for she just looked like it. Oh, and it was a majestic day. There ye are, girls, I said to them, and you never had clothes that fitted better. Stop you, and if I'm spared till next year, you'll have the magenta too. The north end of Bute is a bleak, wild, lonely place, but when I was done painting the maids, it looked like a large population. They looked that neat and cheery among the heather. Mary had a waist you could get your arm round, but Elizabeth was a broad girl. And I wasn't a bad-looking chap myself. Here Parahandy stopped and sighed. Go on with your bore, said Doogie. Oh, old times, said the captain. By Jove, I was in Trum that day. I never saw finer weather nor nicer girls. Oh, but it was just imagination. When we pass the Maids of Bute now, I know they're only stones with red and white paint on them. But they're good enough for tourists.